And I've been actually away a little bit. A lot of stuff going on with the family, specifically with my dog. My dog had some surgery a little over a week ago, week and a half or so ago, and he's had some issues and some problems with it. So I've actually been behind on a lot of my work, and I'm sure a lot of you can empathize with that and kind of understand it. So, what I'm going to do today is actually I'm going to talk about a few different things. So, first of all, what we're going to be talking about and what we normally talk about is we talk about career advancement, career change, career, all those things. Anything that has to do with your career, to be honest and frank with you. And one of the messages that I need to kind of get across to everyone is this. I think a lot of times people have the opinion that promotions kind of just happen and you have no agency in making things happen. And unfortunately, that's not true. You do have some pull in this, and you do have some some way of actually making it happen. Um, and I think a lot of people, especially if you are like me, or like my wife, who are um, children of immigrants. She's an immigrant herself. Um, but the things that we learned, quite honestly and quite frankly, was you work hard, you get noticed, you move up the ladder, and that's how it happens. Um, but there's a lot of other things that kind of go into that. So hard work is just part of it. And I think a lot of times what happens is we kind of forget that there are other things that kind of go into it. So today, what we're going to be talking about, being that last week was such a beast of a week, and this week has continued to be a little bit of a beast of a week. Um, I'm a little behind on my blog posts. If you want to check out the blog posts, you can go to carlmulbauer.com and you can just click on the blog post up on the top, and you'll see all my blog posts there. Historically, it'll be a nice little timeline. You can go down, check it out, read it, do all that stuff. Um, but today, what I really want to talk to about is the need for an online presence, uh, and establishing one to have that there. And then also the importance of networking, which kind of leads itself kind of hand in hand to having a robust online presence. Now, if you are somebody um, who's maybe a little bit older, maybe in your late 40s, 50s, 60s, and you still called your parents up when you were in school using something called a payphone, um, you might be saying, what the F? Why do I need an online presence? And yeah, networking, I kind of get it, but the truth is, times have changed. Just like I remember many years ago, my friend telling me um, that he wasn't going to get his kids cell phones ever. And this is when cell phones were relatively new. And then a few short years later, I see the kids bopping around with cell phones. Now they're all adults. Let's get this straight. But they had them in their teenage years. And I went to my friend and I said, "What are you what are you doing? You're the one who said you'd never get them cell phones. Why do they have cell phones? Give them a roll of quarters." And when I was a kid, it was a dime to make a phone call in New York. I mean, it was literally dirt cheap, and there were payphones everywhere. Um, and I went to him. I'm like, "What the f are you doing?" And he's like, "Carl, they've taken all the payphones out of the schools. There's no way to get in touch with the kids. There's no way of them getting in touch with us if they need us to pick them up or do anything like that." Um, and it's kind of funny because now it's come full circle because a lot of schools are kind of banning cell phone use during the academic day because of all the distraction and the bullying and all this stuff. And they're putting them in pouches like you do at events and stuff like that. But I just found it really interesting. But the truth is, that is an example of times changing and us needing to change with the times. So let's talk about like an online presence. And specifically for you professionals, what I'm talking about is getting on LinkedIn and being active on it. So let's get it out there. First of all, why does this matter? Well, the truth is in today's job market, many hiring decisions are influenced by what employers find out online. I can tell you personally, as an expert in this and running recruitment teams and responsible for hiring for multi-billion dollar companies, my recruiters used to go and they used to look at people's online profiles, specifically their LinkedIn profile. Partly because, you send in a resume, and if you're an experienced professional and you've got, several years of experience, you may have a two-page resume. Now, I don't know about you, but there ain't much you can fit on a two-page resume unless you make the font so small that you need a magnifying glass. It's almost a Willy Wonka moment where, here's the agreement that you signed, here's the magnifying glass, you signed it, you did this all, but the print was so small nobody could read it, right? You don't want that for your resume. So having your online profile on LinkedIn with your resume, with all your achievements, all those things on there, it was a way that my recruiters and my hiring managers could get a better understanding of, in totality, what experiences the candidates were bringing to it. And the more information that was there, the easier it made that for them to make decisions. Now, having an online presence can be a gift and a curse. Uh, I try to keep my political views and all that stuff out of it, to be quite frank and honest with you, because I want to be seen for what I can do professionally. But it is a social media platform. And again, I will say this, you get to control it. So the other part of it is it's part of your personal brand. So your online presence is a key component to that brand. So again, put your best foot forward, make sure things are complete. People can understand what you do, how you do it, why what you do is important, but more importantly, what can you do for them better than somebody else can? Some people call it a unique value proposition. Some people, I call it your special sauce. It's the thing that you do better than anyone else. But you need to have a robust presence and profile that's out there. Now, for some of you, you may think if I build out my LinkedIn profile and I do all those great things, I can set it and forget it. Ron Popeil, thank you very much for that slogan. I really appreciate it. But you can't. You can't just take all your stuff, put it out there, set it, forget it, and then just leave it or dust it off when you need it because you're in jeopardy of losing your job. And there's a lot of people in the tech space that are losing their job because of things like businesses moving offshore and people cutting back on the amount of people that they're needing and all this stuff. And the other thing is, hey, we want people back in the office. If you can get to the office, sorry, you don't have a job, kind of thing. So you can't just wait to dust off and say, hey, I'm going to use this when I need it. It's not where, break the glass, pull the handle, and then, hey, there I go again. It's something that needs to be nurtured. It's almost like taking care of a house plant. You need to water it, you need to prune it, you need to fertilize it. You need to do all those things so that when you do need it, it's there, it's ready, and your time to start and to see results is not delayed because you haven't been doing those things. So it's really, really important to have an online presence, but also nurture it and take care of it. And what that means is this: it means putting out and commenting on other people's articles and saying, hey, this is great. This is a great perspective. I had something similar. We did XYZ, blah, 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 and put that out there. On the flip side of things, what you also need to do is you need to also put original content out there. Now, you may not want to do videos like this. I just feel more comfortable doing it. I do post other things as well, but I've actually found that this is a really good way to connect and communicate with people where I kind of meet them where they are. But the key thing that I'm trying to get across to you is this: you need to be active in the community and you need to give and receive from it. What I mean by give to the community is share your knowledge. And by doing so, what you're doing is you're setting yourself up as an expert. And I will tell you, yes, recruiters and hiring managers are looking at your content. Are you doing stuff? Are you not doing stuff? So it's important to have that online presence so that you can do that. Now, the next thing that I wanted to talk to you about today has to do more about networking. And a lot of times we think of networking as being extremely difficult, uh, kind of icky for some people. For some people, think they're just not good at it, so they don't do it. Um, some people feel that it is me asking for stuff, which it's not. Basically, what networking is a conversation in its purest and and simplest form. It's just communicating with somebody. Hey, I would like to know more about you, and I'm going to share a little bit about me, and let's see if we can work together to both benefit from building a relationship. Because what networking really is building up a relationship, making a friend. And for some of you, maybe that's a little bit easier to wrap your head around if I tell you networking is building out your friend network, building out your friends. And as we know, we have different levels of friends that we know. We have our ride and die kind of people, people that you will go out of your way for, and then you have people that you'll do things for, and then you just have people that are kind of acquaintances and stuff like that, where it depends upon what they're asking, how you will help, kind of thing. And what you want to do is you want to build up those friendships. And by building those friendships, when you need them, you can leverage them. So, in a very basic thing is this. So, let's talk again. Why does this matter? You know, a lot of you are in industries where innovation and collaboration are key. So, that's already a benefit right there. And having a strong network will give you access to opportunities, mentorship, and other valuable insights on what's kind of going on in the industry. On the flip side, you can share all that stuff. And again, it's just like building a friendship. The energy you put into it, the things that you do, The things that you share make the difference. So again, it becomes really, really, really important, especially if you're finding yourself in a situation where your company may be letting people go and you don't know if you're next, or you're not happy where you are. And I will tell you categorically, networking, A, works, but B, is so important in getting you in the door, tapping into that unseen job market, and in many cases can be a win-win situation for both you and the person who is you're networking for or networking with. So here's a good example. I told you earlier I ran recruitment for billion-dollar businesses. What I did is I set up an employee referral program, and a quite generous one. And why was it really good to do that? Well, it was good on multiple levels. One, I got really high quality candidates because the employees working there did not want to jeopardize their position, their standing in the organization. They wouldn't just give up and just hand over people for a couple $1,000s. I just say a couple, didn't I? It's a New York couple. I'll get into details in a second. They wouldn't give up just and put resumes out there and float resumes just to earn an extra couple bucks. They were actually putting their name to it and saying, this is why this person would be a good fit. I think culturally they'd be good, blah, 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 blah. Now, if those employees didn't have those networks, those connections, knowing those people where they could vouch for them, then, it becomes a different story because they wouldn't be vouching for people. I don't know about you, but would I vouch for somebody that I don't have an understanding on what they do, how they do it, and if they would be a good fit in the organization? No. Because not only am I putting them forward, but I'm also putting my name to it as well. But one of the things that I found was this. It was actually cheaper for me and for my organization to reduce hiring costs by having a robust employee referral program. And I hired engineers and technical people and managers to lead them. And even for non-technical people, just so you get an understanding here, my employee referral program for, I guess to start off with, for professionals was $5,000. For engineering was $7,500. And if it was a manager or supervisor level, it was $10,000. Sounds nuts, right? No, it's actually smart. And I'm going to tell you why it was smart. It was smart because I was actually saving the company more money than I was giving out, significantly. Even at the highest tier for managers and supervisors in the industry I worked in, those jobs were 150, 200,000 plus. Could be 250,000 per year for a salary for those types of people. If I had to pay a percentage to a headhunter, which I was one of them too, and I loved getting paid because that's how I put food on the table and put a roof over my head was basically whatever I placed. So if it was 20% or 25%, and we'll use nice round numbers here. If I had a person that made $200,000, that would be a $40,000 check at 20% that I was handing over to an outside person who had no allegiance to me whatsoever. It was a contractual transaction, $40,000. That internal resource I paid 10 to. 25% of what I was going to hand to somebody outside. But here's the good thing. A, I got a higher quality candidate. Two, I got somebody that I knew that was probably going to get the job. Three, my employees, or the people that were working there and actually did those things, were tickled pink. They were thrilled because for doing nothing more than sending over a resume to my team, and that person getting hired, after they submitted the resume, they didn't have to do anything, even though a lot of them actually did. Because, it was like, how do you know this person? Blah, blah, blah. We could have a conversation. But from a networking standpoint, because that person was networking, because that person was doing all those things and handed a resume in, I will tell you this. Every person that got submitted in by an employee got at least a phone interview. At least a phone interview. Someone from my team would pick up the phone and call them. Now, what does that mean for you? Well, if you're submitting through LinkedIn, Indeed, pick whatever platform. You're going into a gigantic pile of 100, 200, 300, 1,000 resumes, depending upon the job. And you can see the number of people who have applied or have indicated that they've applied. And some of the numbers that are next to those jobs, you're the 200th person to apply for this job. And your competition isn't just local anymore. It's worldwide. Just imagine a way through networking that you get your resume not in the pile, but on the top of the pile. You're getting a phone call. You're getting a chance to shoot your shot, which is better than, a 0.5% chance. So that's why effective networking is important, why it's important to have a personal brand. And to do those things, it's important. I'm going to get off my soapbox now and tell you this. I've worked in companies, technology companies, engineering companies that were doing things on very technical types of things. And one of the things I will share with you is this. Being someone who's worked on the human resources side, I have seen things that you probably would not even comprehend. And I'm going to be flatly honest with you. If you're currently working and you're doing those things and you haven't seen progression in your career, it's time to start to get curious. And what I mean by progression in your career, if you've been sitting in the same position 3, 5, 10 years, there's something there that you need to start to investigate. Now, you may work for a great company and everything, but I will tell you, I see on the backside the discussions that have happened. I also know from a compensation standpoint, if you're not moving up and over and around and doing different things, at some point, you're going to be the highest paid person doing that job. And from a compensation standpoint, you're going to start to get capped. Your earning potential is going to be, you're going to hit a ceiling. But you're going to need to find out and you're going to need to do those things to understand a little bit more about what that is. Now, I will tell you, I work with people all the time on figuring out what's going on. And I have a great program that I will be launching and will tell you a little bit more about next week. And I'm sorry about that. I will tell you more about it next week.